Hi there, it's Uzo Ehiog here from Integrated Clinical Strength and Conditioning. So today's video tutorial is all about picking the right management methods, from an exercise prescription perspective. So let's run through this story, shall we? This is what normally happens in clinical practice. Patient comes in, you take a history or you do your subjective interview. You listen to the patient intently, they tell you about the things that they're after and the things that they want to do. You then do your physical examination and hopefully that dovetails quite nicely, into what you want to do from a management perspective. But this is the problem, and this is where I think it falls down. Because we don't really understand what we mean by neuromuscular performance, it means that our management considerations, tend to become a little bit muddled. So it's really important, I think, that we start with our outcome in mind. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is actually, what are we actually trying to achieve? What are we driving for? So we know what their functional limitations are because the patient told us. They told us what their functional limitations are already. But actually, if we reverse engineer, that particular patient's end outcome or end target goal, what is it, from a physical quality perspective, or their physical qualities that they actually need, that's going to make a difference right now that will allow them to move on to the next step. And it might be that there are multiple outcomes, but you've got to make a decision now and decide this is what's most important now. So let's run through each outcome and let's tackle each one in turn. So if we understand the outcome, the method, and the application of that modality is easy peasy. So let's take, for example, if we're saying that actually what we want to do is we believe that our patient, would benefit from an increase in muscle mass, an increase in tendon or connective tissue mass, because we say that's important. Let's just say, for example, it's our patient that has Achilles tendinopathy, or has rotator cuff tendinopathy, or has an unstable shoulder. And we're saying that actually what we want to do is we want to improve the force generating capacity, of that muscle, say, because they've got an unstable shoulder. Great. Well, what's likely to improve the force generating capacity? Bearing in mind from a reasoning perspective, they may have some atrophy already. So we want to change that. We want to arrest that, don't we? We want to do something about that, if there's a muscular problem. So an increase in muscle and tendon mass would make sense. But equally so, let's just say it's our patient that has tendinopathy. Say, for example, pain is not, it's painful, but that's not necessarily the major driver. You've tested them and you said, well, do you know something? You can only do, 3 single leg calf raises. That's not very good considering you want to be able to run 5Ks. So we need to do something about that. You can go down the strength road, but that might not be wise. It might be more sensible to go down the muscle, tendon and connective tissue road. Now, what method do we use for that? Now we set our outcome out. Hypertrophy training. That's the training method that we use. And you can use any method, along that way to improve, their muscle tendon mass using hypertrophy. It might be using, a method where actually it's all about muscle damage. It might be a method where it's about metabolic accumulation. It might be a method where it's about increased muscle tension. The point here is, understand your outcome, then the method is easy. Don't pick the method first. So don't pick hypertrophy training until you know what your outcome is. Because that just makes more sense. It's much more reasoned. So, for example, it might be, you might say, well, this patient, they're late stage, they want to get back to sport, their change of direction, speed, or their agility is not that great. Now, knowing that actually, from a biomechanical perspective, they really need much, much better, maximal force expression. That's your outcome, maximal force expression. So, the modality or the method that we would use is heavy strength training. That's what we would use. low repetitions, very, very heavy load, heavy strength training. That's our method. It might be that actually this patient's now further down the road, okay, and we're saying their strength is pretty good, but actually they're not very explosive, they're not very ballistic, and the thing that they want to do involves being very ballistic. So they're going to have to run into that 45-degree cut and change direction very, very fast. Or it might even be our elderly patient, okay, who we want to stop from falling. Yeah, they're strong, but actually, how do you? It's all good and well being able to generate, okay, large amounts of force. If you do it slowly and you've already fallen over, then it's no good, is it? So it might be that actually what we're interested in is rate of force development. So our outcome is we want to improve their rate of force development. Therefore, our method is explosive strength training. And there's a whole plethora of things we can use, okay, that come under the explosive strength training. Now, it might be more traditionally that actually this patient just has huge amounts of pain. Yeah, they're in loads and loads of pain, okay? So, guys, don't use an exercise modality, okay, to try and improve their pain. Yes, isometrics, to a degree, have a place and have been shown to have some effect. But actually, if pain modulation is the issue, use pain modulation therapies, okay? Improve their pharmacology, okay? Get them some medication, okay? Maybe use a TENS machine, maybe use electrotherapy, maybe use something, do something that's actually going to improve pain modulation. Talk to them, educate them, okay? Reduce their fear, okay? Reduce their kinesiophobia, whatever, but pick something that actually addresses the underlying problem, okay? Don't pick something that might possibly help, okay, somewhere down the line. Or there's one research study that says it works, but all the other studies are not really supporting it. So my point here, guys, is outcome is really important. It might be that actually it's about improving their mobility. Okay, we can use exercise, i.e. strength training, to improve mobility. For sure, we can do that. Okay, and we will talk about that in further videos. But underlying, it might be that actually you might need to tackle, the method might be manual therapies, dare I say, okay, and maybe some flexibility training, okay. The call to action here, guys, is this, okay. Don't confuse your thinking by mixing things together. Okay, the worst thing you can do is to mix things together. When we mix things together, it becomes very, very difficult, okay, to work out, okay, what it is we're trying to achieve and what does what. Because once you define your outcome, it then becomes easy to pick the method, which then means that it's easy to pick your load. Okay, or how much load dosage, if we're talking about exercise modalities, that you need to use. It's easy because then you can pick your reps and sets, because that's really easy, okay? That's not complicated, okay? More than one set is what most people need, okay? You can set the tempo, that's really, really easy. But fundamentally, and this is the key thing here, okay, as thinking and reasoning therapists, okay, we need to be able to document and test outcome, okay? If you define your method, picking the test, okay, to test whether there's actually been a change becomes very, very easy, okay? And this is why I would argue and I would recommend that you don't confuse, okay, and mix and match, okay, the outcome that you're trying to define. You heard it here first, okay? Pick the outcome, okay, and you cannot go wrong, because that then follows on quite nicely with the modality, okay, or the method, and then the assessment. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. okay, to test whether there's actually been a change becomes very, very easy. Okay, and this is why I would argue and I would recommend that you don't confuse, okay, and mix and match, okay, the outcome that you're trying to define. You heard it here first, okay? Pick the outcome, okay, and you cannot go wrong, because that then follows on quite nicely with the modality, okay, or the method, and then the assessment. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.